Now, today is day 9 of the West Asia war, and the war rages on. The United States and Israel continue to strike Iran, hitting oil storage depots and refining facilities in Tehran for the very first time. This has sparked large fires across the capital. Let's show you these videos, the most dramatic visuals that are coming in. This is even after Iran's president apologized to the neighboring Gulf countries for the recent attacks and promised not to attack further. Now, these attacks will continue. Let's show you the ground situation through the videos that you're looking at currently. Now, after targeting nuclear and missile capabilities of Iran, Israel has now struck 3 fuel depots and in multiple areas, with Israel claiming that these depots were supplying fuel to Iran's military. Take a look at the visuals. Fire and columns of smoke rose from the Tehran oil depot, and till now, the Iran facilities have been targeted, the Gulf region as well. First on Iran's energy infrastructure, multiple oil storage depots in Tehran being targeted. Now let's show you another video. This is the Israeli military that has stated that it had struck a Tehran airport that it is alleging was used to help transport weapons to militant groups that Iran supports across the Middle East. Now, this airport is in the capital city of Tehran and quite close to the house of the supreme leader of Iran as well, Ali Khamenei, who was recently killed. The military suggested that the airport was used to transfer arms and cash to militants, especially Hezbollah in Lebanon. In fact, local footage also showed large smoke plumes and flames rising over the skyline. Let's introduce guests joining us this evening. Brahmachalani, strategic affairs expert on the broadcast with us. We also have Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, defense expert on the broadcast with us. Thank you and a very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast with your expertise on the matter. And Mr. Brahmachalani, I want to begin with you on where you see this proceeding now, because just as Iran was firing on all sides, it has now apologized for targeting the Gulf countries, saying that it's not going to happen next. But what is going to happen? When will we see the end of it? How do you see it proceeding from here?
There are 3 scenarios possible. One is that this conflict will continue for a while. It will lead to a military stalemate, and ultimately talks will create a ceasefire. That's one scenario. The other is a long, extended conflict of the type the U.S. waged in Iraq and Afghanistan. That could be a possibility unless Trump decides to end it by declaring victory. If he claims that Iran's military is already decimated. If that is so, they can declare victory even today. And the third possibility is regime change in Tehran. I think that possibility looks at present very remote. So either will be the option scenario 1 or scenario 2.
Okay. But, on the possibility of having boots on the ground, Lieutenant General Pandey, there are multiple questions, including the challenges in Iran. And we've been talking about it since the beginning of the war as well. While the United States and Israel did move in, did they undermine Iran? And is it going to be possible for the United States to, like Trump has also been saying, get all the claims on the nuclear capabilities of Iran, or have a say in actually deciding who the next supreme leader of Iran is going to be? There are things which are being said by the United States which are very clearly easier said than done.
Shruti, actually, firstly, my hello to Brahmaji. I think he always comes with very sane, futuristic analysis. The fact of the matter is that the person who's gone for an offensive and the other party both are going to make statements which are futuristic, which are more towards their side. Otherwise, how do you justify going for the war or a conflict like this? Putting boots on the ground, carrying out a regime change, especially in a country like, it is not Venezuela. Iran is a layered politico-military ideological country in which governance is not in the hand of one cleric or one military person or a dictatorship. It has got a very hugely embedded system in place, which is aligned for a strategic objective of, if you look at it, to get Makkah Medina under control, to dominate the region. It is also a civilization country which is quite takes great pride in its own history. So it is not just going to bomb for 7 days, 8 days. You may put any amount of power to destroy or change the strategic orientation. Will take time, right? So it is firstly, I don't think it's possible, and this whole war is going to continue for a long period of time.
Okay.
Now let's see the context. Context was America actually looking exactly for a regime change, or they were priority 1, 2, 3 targets, and if they achieve 1 or 2 or 3 of them, there'll be a success story which they will claim about. So as long as they are able to ensure that the air defenses are down, their military establishment, which are long range, which can be punitive for the region and for the entire country, or for the region basically, is put down. So that, I think, will be one of their success stories. Second is, if the nuclear program is shifted, is delayed for next couple of years by carrying out this kind of strikes, and they ensure that is done, and which is possible to be done. That will be the second layer of success. So as long as they don't have the capacity to hit out with ballistic missiles, one, and second is the nuclear ambition is delayed for substantive time, at least for 5, 6 years or 10 years. I think that will be taken as a great success. Now coming to boots on ground. I don't think so. They are going to plan to put large number of forces on the ground in case they require. There are background preparation which takes place, at least in an American system, wherein they require minimum 6, 7 months of a lead time in which they need to get the troops prepared. They need to have a clearance from the Congress and stuff like that, which they have not done. So clearly they are going to be using only long-range systems to carry out this job. But they will put, and I'm quite sure as of now, there'll be SF operatives, there'll be Mossad agents, there'll be CIA operatives who will be operating in some form or other behind the lines within Iran to calibrate. Now, those numbers can increase. There can be elements like Pakistanis can be lured through Saudi Arabia through their mutual defense agreement. There can be certain other elements who can come in. The Kurds can come in. So all those proposals, how they will roll out is unknown, because these are all, they are not going to come out and lay out a plan on the media and say, this is our 1 month plan. It will start emerging the way it comes out.
Okay, but does it seem like it has gone according to plan for the United States and Israel? Because the US initially made it seem too easy, but that's clearly not the case. We'll speak about those challenges as well. We have some breaking updates now coming in. The UAE Ministry of Defense has said that it detected a wave of incoming missiles and drones today. So this is according to an official statement. 17 ballistic missiles were tracked, with 16 successfully intercepted. The military also detected 117 drones, intercepting 113 of them, while the remaining 4 reportedly fell into the sea. Now, remember, these are the official statements being released. This is the UAE Ministry of Defense that is saying that a wave of incoming missiles and drones have been detected today as well. So, Mr. Chileni, is this this statement coming in from the UAE, how are you viewing this? Because this comes at a time when Iran president had apologized to the Gulf states for these attacks, but clearly these attacks have not stopped.
Pratibha, the first thing we have to keep in mind is that neither the US, Israeli side, nor the Gulf states are going to admit damage or hits on their installations because there is censorship. The US and Israel have news censorship on Iranian hits on installations, and the Gulf states have very strict laws against even for social media users. For example, social media users have been arrested in some Gulf states, Bahrain, for example, for just posting about hits on some facilities. So we shouldn't go literally by what is coming from any government, because in the fog of war, disinformation and misinformation are both very common. As far as the Iranian president's statement is concerned, it was seen widely as an attempt to diffuse the crisis, as an opening shot to elicit response from the US in particular, by telling Gulf states that Iran is sorry. The president sought to not only reassure the Gulf states, but he basically invited them to also stop allowing the US to use their territory against Iran. But then what happened was that before this conciliatory statement could elicit any kind of reaction from Gulf states, Trump immediately reacted and said that he will take this war to its ultimate end. And that really ended the effort at conciliation. Yeah. So, now of course, we are seeing escalation of a very dangerous kind, because if you recall the wars that India and Pakistan have fought, or the war that India and China fought in 1962, in these wars, neither side targeted civilian infrastructure. Yes. Civilian facilities were not hit by intent. But here we're seeing deliberate hitting of fuel depots, of civilian infrastructure. Even a water desalination plant in Iran was hit. Now, this will only invite reprisals in kind, which will lead to greater devastation, loss of civilian life. And I think what we're seeing is also some degree of desperation, because if you, just a few days ago, Trump publicly acknowledged that he was surprised by the breadth and scale of Iran's retaliation. In other words, he was tacitly acknowledging that his own calculations about the war haven't come right. So this escalation and bombing campaign that the U.S. is conducting, and the U.S. now has rushed something like $660 million worth of additional bombs to Israel, including 12,000 large bombs. In other words, both sides are going to be hammering Iran in the days to come. And some analysts in the U.S. are raising questions whether a Gaza type of devastation could be unleashed on Tehran and some other major cities in Iran. All this is very bad news for India, because as it is, India is now seeing a major increase in its oil import bill and LNG import bill. Every single dollar increase in the oil price means a $1.4 billion additional import bill for India annually. $1.4 billion for $1 increase. But the oil price has increased by a lot since the conflict began. And LNG spot prices in Asia have doubled. So you can imagine the hit India's economy is taking, and I think even if this war stops tomorrow, the energy crisis will not end suddenly. It'll take months to repair facilities and restart production.
Okay, and the uncertainty only continues. It doesn't look like it is going to end tomorrow, and even then we don't know what's going to happen next. We'll have to leave it at that. Mr. Brahmachalani and Lieutenant General D.P. Pandey, thank you for joining us on the broadcast with your expertise. With that, let's also get you details of my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary.